Hey, I want to talk to you about something that completely blows up one of the biggest political myths we've been sold over the last decade. There's a new poll out. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. It shows huge public support for ending sanctuary policies. And when I say huge, I mean overwhelming, not fringe, not partisan noise, not a push poll. Mainstream Americans. The reason this poll matters is because it proves something important. Once people understand what sanctuary policies actually do, the support absolutely collapses. So, let's talk about it. For years, we've been told sanctuary cities are compassionate, necessary, protective. We've heard the slogans over and over. They make communities safer. They build trust between immigrants and police. They protect victims of crime. Now, the problem is, almost none of that holds up. Voters are finally catching on. Let's get to this poll I've been talking about because it shows a strong majority of Americans want sanctuary policies ended. That includes independents, swing voters, even Democrats. Why? Because when the policy is explained honestly, people realize it doesn't protect the innocent. It protects the guilty. All right, so let's walk through all of these myths one by one. First, though, as promised, here's that poll. And this is from Harvard Harris, okay? Not some sort of outlier political push poll, like I said. We'll go full screen on it. This question is simple. Do you think local officials should hand over to immigration authorities criminals in jail who are here illegally, or should state and local officials not turn over criminals for deportation? So you notice on this poll, they didn't use the word sanctuary once. Right? Because if you ask, do you support sanctuary policies, you're like, oh, yeah, sanctuary sounds nice. I do support sanctuary policies. But that right there in a nutshell is the end result of these sanctuary policies. They were sold to you with lies, these policies. And we're going to break all of those lies. Let's call them myths, to be generous. We're going to break those myths down one by one. The first, sanctuary policies make cities safer. It's one of the great lies this whole thing is. It sounds great on a bumper sticker. It just doesn't survive reality. Sanctuary policies limit cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities. That means when someone commits a crime and is flagged for removal, local police are forced to release them. The cops don't want to do this, by the way. You talk to cops, they want the bad guys taken care of, and not just off the streets, but out of the country if that's where they should go. They want to work with their brothers and sisters in federal law enforcement. But the policy says they're not allowed to. Voters understand this instinctively. If someone commits a serious crime, the system should work together to remove them from the community. Sanctuary policies interrupt that process. That's not safety, that's dysfunction. Choreographed dysfunction. All right, myth number 2. Sanctuary policies build trust between immigrants and police. Now, again, it sounds so compassionate. The argument goes if police cooperate with ICE, immigrants won't report crimes. But here's what the data and common sense tells us. Most Americans support enforcing immigration law and protecting victims of crimes. These two things are not opposites. What actually erodes trust is when repeat offenders are released back into neighborhoods, when victims see criminals walk free, and when communities realize the system won't protect them. Trust doesn't come from ignoring the law. Trust comes from accountability. All right, myth number 3. Immigrant victims will get deported if they report crimes. This is the myth that sanctuary policies were supposedly built to solve. And it's the most misleading of them all. Victims of crimes are not deported for reporting crimes. I'll say it again. Victims of crimes are not deported for reporting crimes. Now, it's true that victims of crimes may fear being deported if they report those crimes. Now, if you're a responsible elected official, a responsible politician, and you want to protect victims of crimes and make sure they see justice, you would use all of your energy and all of your influence and all of your political skill to communicate to those victims in immigrant communities that they will not be deported. And if they are victims of crimes, they should come forward and report those crimes. But you see, one political party in this country did the opposite. They used all those skills and all those abilities and all that political influence to lie to those communities, to institute these sanctuary policies, all built on the myths that if a victim comes forward, they will be deported. It never happened. It was a fear, but the Democrats, frankly, exploited those fears. Federal law already includes protections specifically designed for this. There are visas and legal pathways for victims and witnesses who cooperate with law enforcement. In fact, if you're in the country illegally and you're either a victim or a witness of a crime, you actually have a better chance of getting a visa and being here legally if you report those crimes. These protections exist precisely so criminals can be caught. Sanctuary policies didn't create that safeguard. That law already existed. So here's the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to say out loud. Sanctuary policies don't protect immigrant communities. They leave them exposed. When violent offenders know local authorities won't cooperate with federal law enforcement, they stay in the community longer. They reoffend. Often their victims are immigrants themselves. The very people Democrats claim they're protecting are the ones left to suffer. Victims stay silent. Witnesses are intimidated, not by the threat of deportation from the federal government. They're intimidated by the gang members who are running their neighborhoods. Criminals learn the system won't touch them. That's not compassion. That's cruelty. It's cruelty dressed up as virtue. Let's bring that poll up one more time, because this is why the polling has shifted so dramatically. When people are told the truth, not slogans, not activist talking points, they overwhelmingly support ending sanctuary policies. They're not saying ignore victims. They're saying stop lying about how the law works. They want victims protected. They want criminals removed. They want a system that makes sense. There's nothing radical about that. In fact, it's reasonable. Sanctuary policies were built on a false premise, and the damage has fallen hardest on the very communities they were supposed to help. The public sees through it now. The data proves it. And the conversation is finally changing. If you care about public safety, about honesty in policy, and about actually protecting vulnerable communities, this poll should matter to you. So please share this video. Talk about it. Stop pretending slogans are a substitute for reality. And let's fix this very fixable problem. Thank you for watching, and I'm sure I will see you in the comments.